What's up, podcast? Before we start today's episode, I just want to make sure that you guys are following and subscribing all of our content at svaofamerica.com/AssistanceHQ. There you can find all of the latest and greatest content, podcasts, articles, and so much more. The link's going to be in the description, so make sure you don't ever miss a piece of content. It's a whole lot of assistance going on. And now, a moment from our sponsor. What's up, Ramblers? Today's podcast episode was taken from a wonderful conversation I had with a colleague of mine named Ben Hester. I met with him via Twitter and we had this conversation over Zoom. Hope you guys enjoy.
All right. Welcome back to another wonderful episode of The Ramblings. I don't even need to have this part because we just chat. I'm not even doing an interview kind of thing. Like, we just talking. Because it's going to be like taken from the conversation between Ben and us. Because the conversations we have definitely need to be voiced so other people can chime in too.
Yeah, man, I agree. It's just these are matters that are matters of culture. It's almost not even politics. It's almost not even economics. It's how are we going to see the world? How are we going to see other people? That's what's so important.
So what do you got going on right now? You said you just moved. Where'd you move to?
Man, so I just moved to a new spot in Ann Arbor, kind of in the South Campus neighborhoods, real close to the football complex and the ice arena. It's where I lived a lot of the time when I was in my undergrad, when I was running track and doing stuff
Okay.
like that. So it's a place that I've lived at a lot, and I had moved away from it for a while and lived kind of on North Campus, which is kind of quiet for the older people. But I figured, in this last little summertime, since I'm stuck here for one more summer because of this crazy virus thing, it was a good time to maybe, have one last little stint in my favorite place before I finally get out of here.
I feel you on that. I'm I'm doing it in Hartford, but I'm definitely gonna be in New Haven. I'm actually not even gonna be in New Haven as much because I'm giving up my summer. I'm doing the Kanye. Bro, it sounds crazy, but that Kanye verse thing works. When he was lock yourself in the bed, in the bedroom doing 3 beats a day for 3 summers, building your business. You hear we're supposed to get another stimulus check, right?
Man, I'm waiting on my first, for real, for real.
You didn't get the first one?
Not yet.
Ah, dang. Yo, you're probably going to double up on top. You're probably going to get a clean $2,400 check or something like that.
Man, they're going to run me the interest too.
Oh, facts. So you said something, you asked me about a lawyer or something. What are you trying to do? What do you got going on? What are you trying to do? What is this for? Because, I know some lawyers, but I don't know black lawyers. And intellectual property at that. So I can ask around, but I need to know what I'm asking. What am I trying to do? Is it for a product you have?
Yeah. So essentially, this quarantine be changing things, and that creates vacuum for new products. Every time there's been major changes, it always creates new industry. So I have a product, in the cannabis industry as kind of accessory.
And is it that bottle?
No, that's also going to be, I'm also going to have that be a thing that I sell. But this particularly, it's something that is going to be extremely close to the vest. I'm get in touch with the patent lawyer, and the thing that I really need to get done now is the patent search phase. And so essentially, I just need to make sure that this product idea that I have doesn't exist already,
right?
And that it doesn't it's not redundant based on something else that's already been filed. That it's a novel and original idea, and essentially from that point, where I get the okay on that, I would just have the patent pending and get it to market immediately. Because the first person to file a patent has it. So as soon as I get my name in it, okay, for this design, I am the first person, the inventor of this, then I'm all good. Even if somebody else steals the design and they make the money, that's my money and I'm going to get it back. So that's where I really like am at that stage just at the start where like, okay, let me make sure that this idea that I think is an insanely valuable and cool idea is novel and actually is a thing that's viable. And once I know that, this thing is pretty much going to go and I'll be able to tell you everything about it. I pretty much just need to like get that first little aspect of foot in the door with the patent discovery, patent search phase. And then like it's going to be on and I'm going to be wanting to talk about it as much as you'll let me.
Bro, I love that. I love that. And even if there's like a patent say on it or something close, like it's not like it's really like my biggest thing is like, especially as being a virtual assistant and knowing like there's other not only virtual assistants, like there's virtual assistant companies that apparently top companies have used or something. So clearly the top companies have heard of it. However, if the regular people that you're talking to that you would be doing business with have not heard of that idea, that means there's a market for it, and whoever already owns that patent isn't doing a good job, and you could do way better.
Bro, I feel that. I really do. The thing about is this crazy because I never really thought that entrepreneurship was really going to be my path because it's so hard. So I just, my whole time in college, I was just planning to just like join a ship and collect a paycheck and kick it. But just over these years, I've just realized that I'm not going to be happy letting somebody else drive the ship that I'm on. Mm-hmm. And that I'm just never going to be happy in a situation where somebody's talking to me with a tone in their voice because they pay my bills and they make sure I got a car to drive and stuff. So I better watch how I step around them. I just don't thrive in those situations.
I feel you. I can't, like, I've really found that, like, I've always wanted to be, I was that kid, like, I read Rich Kid, Poor Kid in, like, 7th grade. Like, I was in the back of the class, like, with my textbook, with the book in it, reading. Like, that's some weird stuff. Like, everyone else is playing Nintendo and Mario Kart, and here I am reading, entrepreneurship has been, like, that thing, like, my go-to knowing what I kind of want to do, because it's, like, freedom. I'm a traveler. Like, I can't be clocking in every single, like, it just, something about that don't sit right with me.
Yeah, in my spirit, deep in here, it just don't feel good. It was cool to have people above me telling me what to do when I was a student and I was an athlete and they were coaches and teachers. But when you get to real life and it ain't no summer vacation and like, the bell don't never ring and you get to go to your next class, you just got to deal with this dude talking to you crazy every single day forever as long as you have this job. This is an entirely different calculus. So I think, like, to me, it's not even just about being my own boss. It's also about, like, pushing people that have that kind of mentality and handle things that way out of industry and just, like, stealing all the top talent from these terrible companies that don't treat people the right way and, like, creating an entirely new culture where we're competing based on not just amenities and, like, you got a Keurig machine in the office, but the tone that your manager is going to talk to you with on a daily basis. Like, businesses need to compete on that.
I think I like, I want to stop on that and talk about that I think that's an amazing idea. Like, making the competition of work, of like the workplace, about the environment and the culture and how, you're looked at and treated versus the amenities. Or even the pay sometimes, because sometimes, that might be where we slack at. We can't pay top dollar, but we can, we treat you like humans over here.
Yeah, I think to me that where it comes in for me is that's a matter of like being real with people. And if you in the stage of the business where you like, look, bro, like, to make sure that I can afford to have you as an employee, I don't have a salary from this business. So just like understanding that I'm not out here getting rich off of your back and like you out here like taking like not a good salary so that I can have even more disposable income beyond what I'm doing. Like, if you're helping me build something and I'm not willing to sacrifice so that I can like help you help me, I don't think that's a healthy dynamic.
Mm. So like, what would be your answer? Like, say you had a company, what would you be doing for coronavirus? Say like you were doing something, and it sounds like you're gonna have a brick and mortar. So like, what are you going to do?
Well, my initial for like my new product idea, as well as, you know, like the bongs and things that I've been doing. And I also got like a big party piece idea that I'm working on, putting a prototype. It's the worst possible time because nobody's trying to smoke with a bunch of other people right now. But that's another thing.
No, that's the best
I think it's
possible
gonna
time.
be fine still.
Best possible time, bro. Because here people want to go smoke with other people. And when outside opens back up, if you had like a hookah bottle, but like that bottle that you got right there, but it was like a hookah situation set up where everyone can do it,
Bro, that's the literal idea. The literal idea is simple. There's no reason to try to keep this secret. It's just it's just a jug and then a pipe with the bowl, and you just light the bowl, and it's got tubes that come out at the top of it, and then they got their own individual tube, and everybody sucks while you light it, and it pulls it through the water into the big space, and everybody gets their own smoke. So it's them like you can get fancy with it, put some little lights in there to where it like lights up while the smoke is going in there. I think it would be a lot of fun.
Bro, I would get one of those. Because here's the thing, I don't do hookah, but I like the idea of sitting around and the vibe of it.
Right. It looks amazing. Like, it looks like a really cool place to smoke weed instead of smoking hookah.
Exactly. I'm like, yo, such a waste of space. Like, yo, I wish like stoners could do something like that, because it's really like we're less of a problem. Do you know how much situations, like how many situations could be diverted if those hookah bars did marijuana instead of like hookah?
Yeah, one of my friends works at one of those in Grand Rapids. And now that you mention it, it do just be a lot of nonsense going on from the stories he tells me. Because it's a place where people end up when they're like not over 21 and they just need a place to go. And that's just never a good place to be.
Back. Wait, what? Y'all can be under 21 over there?
I think it's 18 because it's just tobacco.
Oh yeah, they raised the age limit of tobacco in over here. We have to be 21 to listen, yo. My brother got fucked up because he was buying Dutchess for 2 years, and then they raised it to 21, and then he's like, you gotta card him.
Hate to see it.
So I want to get into like the
I remember when they first started because they did that same thing in Ann Arbor actually, because weed is legal, so like blunt wraps got to be 21 plus 2 now.
Dang, that really sucks. Like, I want to get into the bulk of what we were talking about on Twitter and stuff. Some of those topics. So, you think that it's absolutely wild that Jeff Bezos has the possibility, mind you, I don't know if you read the article because I did. It's based off of the past 5 years of growth, and it's like 38% growth per year of his net worth each year. So if he were to grow at like 30-something% every year for the next 5-6 years, he'd be a trillionaire. Why is that wild?
I think the number one answer is because the average salary of Amazon is probably something like $30,000 to $40,000 a year. That just like, I feel like that's enough of an explanation for why that just should not be the case.
It's not. I'm confused. $30,000 to $40,000 a year to do what? Move a body?
Well, the sum total of all of those individual $30,000 to $40,000 jobs adds up to somebody being worth $1 trillion.
Yes,
so
yes.
It obviously can't be that valueless if it's all adding up to $1 trillion.
No. It's each individual's person. So if an individual person costs $30,000, that means what you're doing is $30,000. The job that Jeff Bezos has of making sure the thousands of people that work are manageable, like it's a little
Okay, so what percentage, like, because no matter what percentage, like, we say is reasonable, he spends less than that on wages. Any percentage that you throw out there that you would say that is reasonable for him to spend on, like, wages and how much that's worth, he spends way less than that on it, as a matter of, like, principle and as a matter of strategy. Because something that's like an economic theory that we talk about is just like the concept of monopoly being suppliers have all the power, but monopsony being the buyer power. And that's where we're at in the labor versus corporation, like, relationship in these days. Like, he can just come to you and say, hey, you get paid $12 an hour, take the job or don't take the job. It's not a conversation, it's not a negotiation. And because he has that power, he can then employ thousands and millions of people and, like, say, this is how much you get paid, and then just take the rest of it. And that's how you get, that's how you stack up $1 trillion.
Don't take it. Don't take it. If you feel like you're worth more than $12 an hour, go improve and show someone you're worth more than $12 an hour.
But that's why I brought up the concept of monopsony. And what that means is that the buyer of labor has all the power. Like, in monopoly, the supplier has all of the coal, and they say it's $25, nigga, or leave. Like, in a monopsony, it's the opposite. They're like, look, you're worth $10, take it or leave. So the situation is like, even if everybody didn't take the job at Amazon, somebody has to work there. Like, eventually you're going to run out of individual people who are able to get a job somewhere else. And inevitably, the pressures of the economy, you need to pay rent and live. Some people are going to be working at Amazon, and he's going to become a trillionaire because he can pay them $10 an hour, and there's no law against it.
However, if people, let's just say, budgeted a little bit better, didn't have enough pride to say, I have to have the biggest and best of this, and they were able to say, and as many people as possible, not saying everybody, as many people as possible were able to tell Jeff Bezos, I'm not going to take your $10 an hour. I think, don't you think that might make it more, because if a lot of people are, if you're trying to hire for a job and everybody's saying, no, I need more than $15 an hour for whatever it is that you have me do, at some point he has to make that move to say, you know what, okay, I am going to offer more to get somebody because everybody is saying no. Now, he can wait until someone says yes, but like you said, someone has to fill that role. So I can either pay $25 and get someone now, or I can pay $15 and wait till I find someone that needs the $15.
The problem with that is we live in a country with over 300 million citizens. There's a workforce of over 180 million people. There's just no reality in which, like, individuals are going to be able to resist the bargaining power of corporations, which is why labor unions were like the force by which wages went up for a lot of people. Like, not necessarily a whole lot of black people, but a lot of people in America. Where I'm from, like in Michigan, the Midwest, a whole lot of people had unions, and, like, that's where they got those, like, big medical packages and the retirement and stuff like that. But over time, you know, the laws changed. Corporations gained a lot more power to be able to bust up unions. And then once they were able to bust up unions, now people don't have any negotiating power, because we've understood for 100 years that an individual person cannot negotiate against McDonald's.
Right. However, a group of people can negotiate against McDonald's.
But what happens when you try to unionize on Jeff Bezos? What does he do?
That's right now. That's right now. Because here's the thing. All it takes is the right situation. For example, Walmart. Walmart is the original undercut, under budget, treat their employees like crap. They're the original pooper squatters for treating their employees. They had the lawsuit a little bit back, a couple years ago, that forced them to have to pay like a certain minimum wage level of like a certain amount. I can't remember what the amount was, but they have to pay a certain amount, and they have certain restrictions on their employees that forces them to pay out. So all it takes is for a certain situation in Amazon, like kind of what they're going through now, for it to change. And who knows, this particular situation could be the change.
Well, the thing that, and this is where it's like, it's hard to understand concepts. People have been like really robbed of history and an understanding of like how things happen sequentially on like a systemic level. So like people understand that like Reagan called black people welfare queens, but they don't necessarily understand that he made it his mission to gut unions and to like essentially give corporations any kind of powers that he could, and to cut their taxes to where like the government was underfunded, and to be able to like make sure that the IRS doesn't have enough money to be able to afford to try to get taxes from rich people and corporations, to where there's trillions of dollars stored overseas in the Cayman Islands and other places. Like there are systemic factors at play that like changed the ground from under our feet, to where there's nothing that individual people are going to be able to do to resist just the tide that pushes all the money to the top. And you can see just from like seeing the top 1% increasing their wealth by like $2 trillion and the bottom 50% losing $700 billion since 1980. It's just like, it's not anybody individually doing anything. The system has been changed to where all the money runs that way.
So what would be the smartest thing to do? Put yourself in position to run that way. And then here's the thing, enough of us that run that way, that have the values like me and you then have the ability to say and push back and operate from the top in that standpoint. So you can be the company that brings change. So enough people like me and you that have large enough companies to make influences and certain moves, so that we influence how the market is and how jobs are obtained.
I can see how that would absolutely make a difference in the lives of a lot of the people that we were able to touch. Like, and we could do a lot of good things. And it's important just to be able to separate doing good things for the people you can touch from being able to really change things. And like, it's great. Like my goals right now are to do great things in the lives of myself and the people I can touch. But like, I just also do my best to keep in mind that that's an entirely separate thing from things really changing. Like at the end of the day, no business that I start is gonna like stop Walmart from paying people $10 an hour because they can. There's no laws against it.
It's not gonna stop Walmart from paying people $10 an hour. However, it will give people the option to not have to go to Walmart. And I feel like that's just as important. If we may not be able to stop Walmart from doing what they're doing, however, we can bring the leverage back to the employee by giving the employee the leverage of saying, hey, you don't have to work at Walmart. You can work over here where we pay you decently and treat you well. So enough of us that have companies that have that mindset, that give the employee leverage, that takes away leverage from the employers like Walmart, that now will have to step up and say, okay, well, let's pay $12 an hour. It's not a lot. It's not a lot more. It's more than what they were paying before, though, and it's a startup change. So now as they pay 12, they're like, okay, Amazon might have to up and say we pay 15. Walmart can definitely afford to pay a minimum of $17 an hour. They just don't. However, if every other company that was in competition with Walmart took their employees and said, "Hey, we took them because we paid this amount," Walmart might be more inclined to raise their wage.
I mean, definitely you affect individual Walmarts by like putting jobs in those areas. And you could, as a specific strategy, target Walmart. But the problem is that just systemically, there was already a bunch of other places to work besides Walmart. It's just that because of like market power, all of them pay $10 to $12 an hour. So like, yeah, you can leave Walmart and work at the gas station, or you can work at a different grocery store, or you can work at a fast food restaurant, or you can work at a normal restaurant, or you can be a delivery driver, or you can be an Uber driver. Like the the things are just rigged to where like there are just very few like opportunities that do not pay like very very badly, and some people are able to take advantage of those opportunities, but by design most people are just kind of funneled into low paying work because they have to live.
I see how that can be the situation, because it's the essence of survival. We don't have we need something now, and we don't have time to build. However, come into ethic, work ethic. You have 24 hours in a day, and your work day is 8 hours. I understand nobody wants to hear after you work an 8 hour day. Now, I'm just going to use my dad as an example only because the work he did for his 8 hours was extremely difficult. My dad was a correction officer at a jail. However, after he got off of like an 8 hour shift, he's going to paint like a house because he has to save money because that's the house he owns, and he can't afford like a painter because they charge a lot. And then we got to cut the grass because all those things add up. So we got to save that money. But a lot of people aren't willing to put in that extra work after their 8 hour shift or their overnight job or on their 3 days off. If they're like a firefighter, 4 days on, 3 days off, they're not willing to say, okay, I'm going to use my 3 days to continue working so that's my buildup. Because think about it, all people always think that business has to be millions of dollars. There's companies out there that don't make that much money. If a company makes, if like a small mom and pop shop only makes $85,000, they're probably only doing local business. But imagine this: they're making $85,000, and it's fueling their life off of what they like to do, whatever it is that they're doing that they like to do. That if whatever struggles go with it, they're struggling for their dream. So if people are going to struggle, you might as well struggle and work hard for your dreams, like not someone else. Because if you're going to be like, hey, I don't make enough money, I have to sometimes work overtime to pay rent, why not have a side hustle that will help you pay rent? It doesn't have to, everyone always has to think, oh, I have to be a millionaire. You can make $3,000 a month from your business and stop it right there, because it's just you. You make $3,000 extra a month on top of your job, and you're putting in hard work. You may be able to say, you know what, I'm going to cut my lifestyle and live on my $3,000.
You know, I think your example with your dad is a really good one. And number one, like a lot of the people who like espouse this kind of mentality and talk about like extra work they do, a lot of the times it's extra work on an asset they have that is giving them money. And that is just a leg up. That is just not the reality of just most people. Like 80% of all stocks are owned by the top 1%. Like most people don't have stock investments. Most people don't have real estate investments. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck to be able to live where they're living right now. And it's a situation in which, yes, there are obviously opportunities for people to do things, but it's just very easy from the position of like having a well-paying job with a pension, with like health care benefits, and like also having an asset that can make you more money and doing work to help make that asset even more profitable. Like it's still hard work, but hard work on an asset is just different than hard work for survival. And because we don't differentiate those two things and we equate them, it can seem like having money is the working. Really, it's just having more opportunities and more assets.
What is your definition of what someone's asset is? Because I'm gonna ask you something. If I gave you a basketball, could you make $1 billion with a basketball?
I would think not, no.
LeBron James, the asset of a basketball for him. This like a basketball, when LeBron James was a child, he looked at a basketball and said, this right here is going to make me a lot of money. Someone went out and said, this real estate is going to make me a lot of money. This do-rag. I don't know if you follow her on Twitter, but she's like one of my favorite entrepreneurs. I have an Atira Lions do-rag.
Oh, that's nice.
So, but that's 6 figures right there. She's 20 years old, 6 figures. Do-rag. And here's the thing, just her. No employees and everything, and she's just getting a store. So, what is your asset? You may not have a well-paying job. I DoorDash right now, and do my business. That I make my ends meet through DoorDash. So it's about loving whatever it is that you do, and that being your asset. Like, if you wanted to say, this guy on Twitter, he flips toys. He literally goes to Walmart, gets stuff from Walmart, and sells it at a higher price. Someone somewhere will buy that. He's flipping. I'm about to start flipping. I got a whole bunch of cards and comics and stuff. I'm about to start flipping. I'm about to sell it for crazy amounts of money. Not like crazy high, but through like inventory wise, So it's just start with whatever. Like, you can get stuff from online. Literally, it's people think like you have to do all these crazy big assets. I had a podcast the other day with this girl who did fashion design. She cut up like a shirt and made it something else. The value of this $2 shirt from the Goodwill, I can then do my own thing with it and sell it for $30. Someone will buy that. To me, I can make money from that. I can't do that. I'm terrible. I can't cut straight for anything. So yeah.
Yeah, and I understand, but this is where these conversations always go, because it's just a worldview thing. Like, if you have a worldview that's based on evaluating the whole picture, then you can see that a bunch of people are like stuck in low wage jobs because there's only so many higher paying jobs, only so many businesses are going to succeed, only so many people even have the capital to start a business. Like, the education, the like network, the experience and technological capabilities or access to internet. There's just a million things that make it way more complicated, and like the reason why everybody is not going to be able to make something like really cool happen. And it's just, we have to change the way we see people from like, oh yeah, you got to do something, you got to like make something happen. Like, why can't we just be like appreciative of people for the things that they are and what they do, and like allow people to be free and not force them to like figure out a way to make something happen to be able to live a decent life. And so like, if you focus on what individual people can do, then you can see all these ways and you see all these schemes and all these success stories, which are true. And if you choose to focus on that, then that's going to be what you see. And you're going to be actively choosing to ignore the systemic big picture because that's more comfortable. And then you got to like unpack the fact that like, you're not one of those people working a low wage job. And you're not one of those people who's doing that every single day and feeling that pressure and like needing to go to work to be able to make rent and not get evicted within a week of not paying it. And understand that the choice in worldview a lot of times has to do with whether or not you're one of those people in that $10 an hour job that actually is feeling that pressure and doing it.
So in those $10 an hour jobs, how many people are watching the finals? How many people are
watching what?
watching the finals, watching the NBA finals? How many people, like, people always make time for what they make time for. Like, there's, like, even if you make...
poor people are allowed to rest sometimes. It's not a moral failing.
We're not saying that they're not allowed to rest. Yes, you have to rest. However, there's no one that's not having a time of entertainment.
Right, but it's like poor people don't have to forego all entertainment to be really poor and be giving it their all and have to justify their poverty by never having fun and never doing anything nice.
No, I'm not saying you do.
For a
It's
$2
just...
beer and watching a basketball game. Like, you just can't justify millions of people working $10 an hour jobs by saying they get to go watch a beer at B-Dubs.
Listen, man, that beer at B-Dubs could have been...
Hey Ramblers, before you go, make sure you're following us on social media at Assistance HQ across the board for all content and exclusives. And for an even more personal touch, subscribe to our weekly newsletter with the link in the description.